Just wait a couple more minutes here. Let a few more people trickle in here. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. I am your host, Jaymes Howell. To my left, to my right, whatever direction it is my left. Maybe your guys is right. Who knows? That is my legendary co-host, Chase Riley. Chase Riley, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you?
Oh, I mean, I could be better. You know, it's coming off a disappointing loss against the Cincinnati Bengals. I could be a little bit better. This could be a victory chat that we're having. Pardon me. But instead, you know, we got to take what's dealt to us, and we don't get to choose the outcome.
Agreed.
Some fans might think that the Bengals get to, but we'll talk about that later. Let's look here. Mama Bear, of course, is in the house. I showed that. Janine Jones in the house. That is my old lady. I love you, baby. Thank you for showing me the support. Hey, guys, look, before we really get into it, you know, the Facebook algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, all those good things, they say that right here at the beginning of the show, we are supposed to show, you know, and support and like ask you guys to like and share. So you guys know the deal. If you can follow, like, share on Facebook, on YouTube. Here's my Facebook at Jaymes Howell 1, my Twitter at Jaymes Howell 1, and my YouTube Jaymes Howell Sports. My buddy Chase here, when he is not on this legendary podcast, he's an insurance agent for American Family Insurance. If you need insurance, go check him out. He will get you taken care of. He's also on Facebook we need to get you an updated picture.
Yeah,
Go ahead and talk to us
we'll
about that,
do
Mr. Star Media, Mr. Rebrand.
Yeah. So, those of you that do follow the page already, you will know that we rebranded from C. Riley Sports to CR Media. The biggest reason for that being is 2021 was awesome. We built a lot of momentum. We're going to carry that momentum into 2022, and we're going to do a lot more stuff than just sports. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline that we're working on, and it's going to be a super, super exciting year. So cannot wait.
Donnie, Daniel, thank you for the shares, guys. I appreciate that. I see them coming in. I really do appreciate that, guys. Let's go to the comment thread. Yo, there he is. Donnie Ray Craven. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you in here. Jerry Byatt. What's up, my man? How you doing? Nice to see you guys in here. All right, man. Also, look, if you see below my fresh little picture, got my green screen going, by the way, over the weekend and whatnot. Got the studio moved over, and this is the first episode in the new studio. So, I'm excited to have this going. But down beneath me, you see SuperDraft Pro. SuperDraft Pro, we partnered up with SuperDraft Pro. It's a fantasy gaming, kind of like FanDuel or DraftKings, but different. It's different. It's fantasy football, it's fantasy baseball or basketball or whatever sport is in season. It's a different format, and it's subscription based. All you have to do is order a subscription, and then you get to play for that price throughout the whole month. A little bit more on the Super Draft. I'll just take you to this video real quick.
These aren't just any kind of games. Play on SuperDraft, the official fantasy partner of Caesars. Compete in exciting fantasy sports and free sports betting contests by subscribing to a plan with SuperDraft Pro. Play for the love of the game and experience the most entertaining way to follow the sports you love. These mobile apps are live right now on iOS and Android.
All right. So, yeah, if you're interested in games like that, they're really fun. They're really easy to compete in, and you can win some money off of it. It's really, really fun. Go click the link in the description, if I could talk. And yeah, I mean, just go do it. I don't know why you haven't already. Let's see. What's it say? Antonio Brown. That's what we're talking about. Antonio Brown. So Antonio Brown has this little issue with his team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And just so we all know, I'm just talking a little bit about the NFL world before we get to the Chiefs talk. We will get to the Chiefs talk, I promise you. That's the whole deal. So if you're a new viewer here, please be patient. We're going to talk a little bit about Antonio Brown, and then we'll get to it. Antonio Brown kind of made a fool of himself. If you didn't catch it, this is what happened. While the Tampa Bay Bucks are trying to get out. All right, and then he proceeds to walk into the tunnel. I don't want to watch the next 15 seconds of him walking across the end zone, but y'all get the gist of it. He in mid-game, he takes his pads off. He's upset about something. Then reports come out today that he was playing on an injured ankle, and he had told them that he was not ready to go before the game. And they had him checked out by the doctors, the team doctors, and then they said he was ready to go. They basically forced him to play. About midway through the game, he told them again that he was not good to go. His ankle was bothering him, and they said, if you won't take the field, you will not have a place on this team. And so then he proceeds to take his shoulder pads off and walk off the field. Chase, what's your thoughts on the whole deal?
Well, I think that with Antonio Brown, we've seen that there is some. This isn't the first time that Antonio Brown has lashed out. Now, there's a lot of talk about some mental health issues, and you can definitely see that. His antics, with the past couple of teams he's been with, reminds you that it was just a couple of years ago with his issues with the Raiders. And, it came out later that he didn't want to play for the Raiders, that he wanted to play for XYZ team, Well,
it wasn't just the Raiders. It was Pittsburgh and New England and the Raiders, and I think it was all in the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was a big, a big thing. And, like I said, I think it's very, very obvious that there is some mental health issues there. Actually, I think some people have even accused, or not accused, but even assumed that there is some CTE issues as well. Now,
I seen a video earlier, and it was this is when everything went wrong for Antonio Brown. It was when Vontaze Burfict he laid him out, knocked him out.
Yeah.
For the Bengals, knocked him out cold in the middle of the field while he was still playing for the Steelers. And so, that might be some issues. There might be a lot of issues up there.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe something that they need to look into. My problem with this Antonio Brown thing is it's not just a one-time thing. There has been constant issues. So, I don't agree with the Buccaneers coaching staff. I know you and I talked about that prior to the show. We talked about, talking about this on the show and bringing it up. My thing is, if he was legitimately injured and he couldn't play, then Bruce Arians has to take a little bit of responsibility as the head coach of the team, trying to force a player out on the field who's too injured to play. Now,
yeah, and if that is the case, that is completely unacceptable in a day and age where we're changing the entire rule book for player safety.
Yeah,
if that is the case, and then now, mind you, this is just Antonio Brown's take on it, is that this is what happened. He was injured, and that he was. But if that's the case where Bruce Arians forced him, there needs to be there needs to be consequences for that kind of action.
Yeah.
And just real quick, Daniel Hibden, I seen you share it. I appreciate you, buddy. I seen you come in. Daniel Hibden says, "Hey everyone." Lindsay, David Lindsay, appreciate you. One of our top supporters here every single week. Appreciate you. We lost Chase. Jeff House says constant issues is right. Kawhi had injury until he got traded. I mean, as far as constant issues go, there he is.
I don't know if I pushed the button or what happened, but
It happens. Just so I just showed everyone else, but so you can see it. He says constant issues is right. Kawhi had an injury until he got traded. I don't know what you mean about Kawhi had an injury, but as far as constant issues goes, and Antonio Brown, I mean, everywhere he's gone, he's had constant issues, and it's 100% accurate. But my thing on this whole deal is, like he's only human, and I understand that he's a superstar status or he's in the public spotlight, but there ain't none of us that can. There aren't any of us. That was my country coming out right there. There ain't none of us. There aren't any of us that haven't been in that kind of situation before, where whether it be a job or a relationship or a friendship, or something along the lines, we've all had a situation where we've said, you know what? Screw it. I'm out of here. It might be a bad situation. You might have been at a party in your early 20s and, knew it was a shady situation. And you said, I'd had enough of this. And you got out of there. It's the same thing. When enough is enough, that's enough, And so if that's the case, if Antonio Brown is telling the truth on his side of the story about the injury, I'm okay with him taking a stand, especially in this day and age, and saying, you know what, fuck this. Yeah. Excuse my language, but that's.
No, and that was the other thing too. Is I mean, if that's really the case, if Antonio Brown was really injured and Bruce Arians, because let's not pretend like, these team doctors don't falsify stuff like that all the time. I mean,
that's been happening for 40 years plus.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they put them in the tent, and we're not allowed to see what happens in the tent. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I mean, let's be honest with each other. So to act like a team doctor is going to be upfront and honest about these things is just, it's not realistic. So, I guess like my biggest issue is, there's been so many issues with Antonio Brown. Is he telling the truth about being injured? There is things to back those claims up. He was on the injury report on an ankle, listed, as probable with an ankle injury.
Well, there probably needs to be a little bit more transparency as far as some of these things go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can connect the dots.
Yeah. And so when he walked off the field, I saw some people saying, well, he walked off the field just fine. Walking on an ankle and running and cutting and doing the stuff. Doing the stuff that wide receivers do with their, with their feet, with their footwork is a little bit different than him walking off the field.
And if he feels unstable on it, all it takes is one cut and him rolling his ankle, and his ankle can snap. Yeah. He can have a very serious injury, that just stemmed from a sprained ankle. But because he pushed it, now it's a broken ankle.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I just, there's a lot of that stuff that seems to go around. I think you and I, when we talked about it, you asked the question, does Antonio Brown get another shot somewhere? I think the Bruce Arians issue, I think that it helps his situation, but I just feel like, we go back to players like Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson that got little to no chances, and that was it. I mean, there was no way that you could tell me that Terrell Owens wasn't good enough to get a job on a roster with 53 other bums, you know, or whatever. So when
You see what I just saw there?
I did see that. I think it's the
It's like a
Russians.
YouTube bot or something that hit a comment on our.
Yeah, it's the Russians is what it is. But you know, there was guys back there that were considered that were called cancers in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I just think that with as many opportunities as Antonio Brown has had, don't get me wrong, Antonio Brown is a damn talented wide receiver, and he'll be a Hall of Famer one day. But it's just one of those things where I think that I think he's just used up one too many of his chances, and I think that we might have seen the last of him.
Okay. All right. Well, real quick before I get into my take on that, Jeff Howe says Brown didn't look injured when jogging to the locker room. Why fire the Jets fans up? That is a good point. That is kind of your team that you just played for is playing the Jets, and then you go and get that you're playing in the Meadowlands, and you go and get them fired up, and that is kind of traitorish on his part. Daniel Hibden says it's just a bad look when you just leave your teammates on the field. Where's the sportsmanship? I'm not a fan of his, but I can't bash someone when I'm not there to understand what's going on. And then I fully understand that. You know, I was a line cook for many years, and I've had several people walk out in the middle of a shift. And you know, when you're a line cook at like the Texas Roadhouse, and you know your broiler walks out, I mean, it could set you back. It could set you back tremendously.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
you know,
man. I feel you, brother. I was in the restaurant industry for 14 years, man, and there ain't nothing like when I'll tell you what, man, when you work a 14-hour shift and your manager comes up to you and says, "Hey, the dishwasher just walked out," and you and I are the only two people left in the restaurant, man. You know, I mean,
talk about jaw dropping.
Yeah, you know, and me and the manager built chemistry then, because I mean, I had her back, she had my back.
Yeah.
You know,
and this could be, you know, a callous to the team, you know, to Tampa Bay in the long run. It could be, you know, they could ride off of something like this and then, you know, bind together, you know, as a brother.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Hey, real quick, before I give my take on Antonio Brown, I just wanted to give everyone the opportunity. I did pin this post. I said if we got to 400 followers, we would give away a free L'Jarius Sneed 8x10. Here's the post. Go find the original post, comment on it, who you think is going to win the Broncos game and what the score is going to be. Like and share, and you're in it to win it. All right? So that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Go like the post, share it, comment, and you can win a free 8x10. No strings attached. You don't even have to pay postage. I'm just going to send it to you. All right. Antonio Brown, check it out. This is my take. Is he talented? Let me ask you that. Is he talented? You said it.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot, but I think that he's most definitely done enough to make it in this league, or to make it into the Hall of Fame. His antics and his issues, are they?
Is that CBS? Is that Chiefs Kingdom on CBS Sports?
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
But
so, you know, my thing is he's got a lot left in the tank. We are right here in the last week of the schedule, and there's a lot of teams, including Kansas City, who need help at wide receiver. The Josh Gordon experiment has not worked out. He had one reception this last game. It has not worked out at all. I understand he's been Antonio Brown is a cancer. If you thought of a cancer in the locker room, Antonio Brown, Terrell Owens, Le'Veon Bell, that'd be another one.
Yep.
He fits right in line with them. But he has too much talent to not help somebody and not contribute on some team somewhere in the NFL this year to try to make that push to the Super Bowl. I could see the Rams doing it, and I can also see Kansas City doing it. Especially with Andy Reid's background and Brett Veach's background and their history of giving people extra chances.
Yep. With I think we could say Frank Clark. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's going to be if that's going to be in the Chiefs' cards.
And this is all like David was just mentioning right there. Still haven't released him from the team. This is assuming that the Bucs even release him because he's under contract. They don't have to,
And the point gets brought up of if Antonio was telling the truth, if Antonio was right about the injury and telling the team about it, and they still made him suit up, they still tried to force him to go out onto the field. I don't know. Does that?
Well, how can you call him like being a cancer once again if he is telling the truth? You can't say he's being a cancer in the locker room because he's just standing up for his own health.
Well, I think that when people use that term, you have to look back at some of the issues he's had, and then also the way the situation was handled. Now Bruce Arians told him to leave. Now that's fine. He can leave. He didn't need to cause a scene like that. Do all that, do all that extra stuff. He could have left, and when asked about it, he could have spoke his piece. I feel like that circus that he put on leaving, just goes to show you. Some people would say he's passionate. I wouldn't say he's passionate. I would say that was
a little petty.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the issue you and I talked about earlier. Of there's obviously some mental health issues there with him that he feels like he needs to go all out. He could have walked to the locker room, told the media, spoke his piece, and done what they could. And he didn't need to take his shirt off, take his pads off. He didn't need to throw it into the crowd and do all that loudness before he left.
Yeah, he was just being extra at that point. David Lindsay says, I think they suspend him from the team for the remainder of the season before they release him. And that would probably be the smartest thing for the Bucs to do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, as talented as I was just talking him up and whatnot, as talented as he is, because of the issues that he's had, because he's had so many issues, I'm not sure that he even gets a short-term deal next year with the team. But if the possibility is to arise that he could sign with a different team this year, I think he gets signed on. But moving on off of Antonio Brown, Jalen Hurts almost gets smashed by the crowd. He almost gets collapsed on by the crowd because one of the safety railings there just collapsed over in the stadium. If you didn't catch that, this is what happened. first off, what a cool guy. Like those guys just, of course, they were just reaching out to maybe shake his hand or be fortunate enough to shake his hand. They fall off, and he's huddled up with them and taking selfies. But what a crazy little incident. And then from what I hear, they didn't even the Washington didn't even offer any sort of like help or anything other than, here, let me help you up.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about how much of a piece of shit I think the Washington football team organization is as a whole. What I will tell you is that just goes to show you of course it could have happened anywhere, but am I surprised that it happened at Washington Stadium? No. Am I surprised that Washington didn't offer those fans anything for that? No. What is scary is, you watch that video and Jalen Hurts is a foot, 12 inches at the most away from getting severely injured. We're not talking like a couple week injury. Like we're talking, a season-ending injury or a career-ending injury.
Yeah, if he's walking on the left side of that tunnel instead of the right side of that tunnel.
Yeah.
Look.
Watch how many people fall. That's scary. Yeah. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, football organization, I'm sending a letter to the Washington football team organization. That is insane.
Yeah. It was a little, kind of nuts when I first heard about it. Okay, so you mentioned it before the show earlier today, and I'm like, what? I hadn't even heard anything. What?
Yeah.
And so I go and look at it. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on. As an organization, as a franchise, you have an obligation to kind of keep these fans safe. Make sure the railing's upright.
Yeah.
Jesus. Jay Gibson says Washington also had that sewage pipe leaking in the stands week 1, 2. Their stadium is junk. Yeah. It's just another completely mismanaged organization.
But on February 2nd, they're going to unveil their new team name. So that's good.
Yeah, well, they need to get a new stadium.
So,
all right.
one thing that I did notice, when you've had Facebook for a while, Facebook has this great thing that they do where it shows you memories. They'll come on there and they'll say, hey, like 4 years ago you did this, 3 years ago, etc. You get the point. Today, on my Facebook memories, I was reminded that on this day, January 4th, 2013, Andy Reid inked a 5-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs.
9 years ago.
9 years ago. And I posted it in our Facebook group. And I've shared it around on Facebook, to kind of get the feeling, to ask everybody, what would the Chiefs organization look like right now if they wouldn't have signed Andy Reid? I'll tell you what, the criticism following Andy Reid, and if you know me, and you saw my post, you'll know that I did criticize the Andy Reid hire pretty bad.
Yeah, because who was it you wanted to hire? Todd, who was it?
Kirk Ferentz.
That's who you wanted as a head coach?
Well, that was prior. In 2013, I don't know who could have been the head coach to take on that team. But I definitely didn't want Andy Reid. His last couple seasons were a little less to be desired in Philadelphia, and I thought he was done. I was like, well, he's washed up, he's done. I don't want him in Kansas City. he took a 2-14 team with 8 Pro Bowlers and went 13-3 the next season.
Yeah.
So I gladly ate the L on that one.
Yeah, monumental
gladly.
turnaround.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt the same. Like, okay, so when he first signed, I was kind of skeptical because things had been rocky in Philadelphia for him, and he basically just got pushed right out of the stadium by the fans.
Yeah.
Now Philadelphia fans are hypercritical, to say the least, and it's kind of hard to base things off of that. But his reputation had kind of preceded him. Like I was excited to have Andy Reid. I knew that he was a good coach. Things were going wrong there, but I have always known him in my lifetime as Andy Reid to have been a good coach. So, I was more excited about the name at the time. And I would have never imagined that would have turned into what it has.
Yeah, neither would I. Fun fact, I was actually more excited about the John Dorsey hire than I was the Andy Reid hire.
Jeez.
Yeah, man.
Jesus. Jeff Howe says, Urban Meyer looking for a job. Him and Snyder would work great together. Urban Meyer he really bashed his reputation, his own personal brand this season, with all the drama. I mean, you're probably right on that aspect, but I wouldn't want to hire Urban Meyer at this point on almost any level. Maybe a high school team. Just because he says, yep.
Yeah. And not to get too far off, but that Urban Meyer thing, I mean, the kicker in Jacksonville coming out and saying that stuff, it's crazy because, this is the guy who was in college football teaching these kids, and I say kids, I know they're 18 to 20, 21 years old, but I mean,
kids.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too far off from that, but I've got a kid getting ready to go to college. So I mean,
that's nuts, bro.
Yeah. And to think that, he's in college football. He spent all those years in college football. If he treated these grown adults like this, how do you think he treated those kids? So I wonder, does he get a job at coaching? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be at a big school, Ohio State, or something like that. It's not going
Florida Atlantic or something.
Yeah, International School of the Blind.
I wouldn't let him around blind kids.
All right, do you want to talk Chiefs football or what's up?
Hey, let's get it, man. Hey, I needed some time to warm up to that game, so
I'm telling you, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it was really a tale of two halves.
It was,
both offensively and defensively. Offensively, Patrick Mahomes looks very efficient, right? Let me look here. I got the box score right here. He looks very efficient. 26 for 35, 259, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is where stats can lie to you.
Yep.
Because that happened. I'd say 80% of those stats, and I don't have the research or the proof right here in front of me, but I would almost bet that 80% of those 259 yards and 2 touchdowns that Patrick Mahomes threw on Sunday was in the first half. And you would think that you see a stat line like that, and you would think that that's a good game, man. We probably won that game.
Yeah, the offensive stats really didn't look if you just look at the overall stats, the offensive stats don't look bad. Obviously the biggest thing that stands out is the second half. So and we will, happy anniversary, Andy. Glad to have him. Hopefully we talk about this again in 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was 50 or 51 when he signed that contract, if I read correctly.
How long do you think Andy Reid coaches for?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think I thought, part of me thought in the back of my head after we won that Super Bowl in 2019, part of me thought maybe he hung it up, and then I thought, no, that's asinine. He's got a fresh new quarterback. I think Patrick Mahomes rejuvenated Andy Reid as much as Andy Reid rejuvenated the Chiefs. I think Reid saw Mahomes and thought there's no reason why I can't stay for a little while longer.
Well, I can almost see Andy Reid staying for the entirety of Mahomes' contract.
Yep.
Because, like you said, it looks like he is rejuvenated. He looks fresh. He's excited. He's passionate, and you can see him out there. And he when
having a good time and
or getting pissed off.
Or getting passionate. Yeah.
And or he's dancing or whatever. But he looks fresh.
Yeah.
To that point, I hope he's here. I hope he's here for at least the majority of Mahomes' contract. I think he could go. I don't think he goes as long as like Coughlin. I don't know how old Tom Coughlin was when he retired, but
Year of the Rat. Year of the Rat.
Yeah. I think he's got a substantial amount of years left in him. He will retire with the Chiefs. I don't think.
That's a given. Definitely, Daniel. I mean, I think that the Chiefs would have to have multiple catastrophic losing seasons for the front office to let Andy walk. So
yeah. Yep. So, another interesting fact, Patrick Mahomes. We had talked about this beforehand. Chase, go ahead on that.
Yesterday, not today, yesterday, January 3rd, 2017, Patrick Mahomes called a press conference to let the University of Texas Tech know that he would not forego his senior season and he would elect to join the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And just as the same question I posed when I shared the thing about Andy Reid, I guess the question I would pose now, what would the Chiefs organization look like right now if Patrick Mahomes would have elected to stay at Texas Tech for his senior season?
And chat, feel free to answer yourselves in the comment section, chat.
Absolutely. That's why I asked. That's why when I shared it, I asked it in the group, and I plan on talking about it on the show. Want to hear from you guys. What the Chiefs are sitting at? What were they? 26, 27 in that draft? Would they have elected to stay at that position, or would they have still traded up to get Deshaun Watson? I saw a couple people say that they think the Chiefs would have taken Tre'Davious White. He was a defensive back. I think Buffalo wound up taking him. That was, like I said, that was a pick that a few Chiefs fans, mentioned in the comments. I think they would have still traded up, and I think they would have gone after Deshaun Watson. And David Lindsay mentioned it too, and I laughed when I read that. David Lindsay said that because thank God we didn't draft Deshaun Watson. Obviously, given everything that's happened with Deshaun is more than likely that it looks right now, more than likely probably not going to play for another NFL team. It's going to take a lot of work to get Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Jackson, Deshaun Watson back in the league. So you're still on mute, buddy.
I'm on that mute. I think that if we didn't end up getting Mahomes, we'd be stuck with Deshaun Jackson. I think that year we needed a quarterback. We had a plan in place. Alex Smith was just a bridge to get us to the next guy, and I think it would have been Deshaun Watson. Now, would he have been in the same legal issues that he's in? That's kind of, you can't really predict that.
Yep. Well, you'll have to go to Doctor Strange and have him open the multiverse to figure that out. But
yeah. But talent-wise, and I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson is just as good as Mahomes or better or anything like that, but talent-wise, he was more than adequate. Talent-wise,
absolutely. He's he was most definitely taken where he should have been taken, and he's a phenomenal talent. Is he as good as Mahomes? No, but he's still a phenomenal talent, and I think that we had this conversation last week where we talked about crappy organizations, and I think at the time the Texans were a crappy organization to work for. They had a crappy general manager, and definitely had a crappy coach in Bill O'Brien. Hence why J.J. Watt is gone, DeAndre Hopkins is gone.
It was almost comical watching it all unfold.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't help but just sit back and laugh.
How do you and of course, before the whole stuff with Deshaun Watson started, his legal issues, he was asking for a trade because you walk into work one day and you find out that your team just traded away the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
After they let, I think J.J. Watt left afterwards, but J.J. Watt goes, and then, the DeAndre Hopkins thing, they just traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't 2016, guys. So.
I mean, it was just elementary moves that like anyone could see that these are bad. Yeah. These are bad moves.
Yeah.
And the organization, I don't know why it was allowed to happen for so long. Like if it would have been the Eagles, the guy would have had half a season.
Yeah. So sticking to the subject, if we drafted Deshaun Watson instead of Patrick Mahomes, I think the Chiefs organization would look really different right now. With or without Deshaun's issues, Deshaun doesn't make the throws that Patrick Mahomes makes. Deshaun is not. He's not
have that Mahomes magic.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you would miss. So, kudos to Mahomes and Mahomes' family. He credited his family because he said he talked to his family. His mom, his dad. And he talked to his agent, or the gentleman who he elected to be his agent that day, about entering in the NFL draft, and kudos to those for talking him into it, because we have definitely reaped the benefits. So,
yeah. 1 year later, if he waits 1 year later, we've got Deshaun Watson. I really believe we've got Deshaun Watson, and someone in Mahomes is going to probably the Lions or something.
Yeah, poor guy.
So I go to the box score and I'm looking at the receiving section of it. McCole Hardman has 1 reception, mind you, for 53 yards. Byron Pringle has 3. Demarcus Robinson has 2. And Josh Gordon has 1. That's the only wide receiver, and then Tyreek Hill has 6. Right. So other than Tyreek Hill, we did get Blake Bell, we did get Travis Kelce, of course, Darrell Williams, Derek Gore, even Noah Gray. They all got touches.
Yeah.
Besides Tyreek Hill, it seems like we didn't get much production from the wide receivers.
No, and if you take a look at that, I think we talked about, Kelsey, when Kelsey's in, the production to the wide receivers seems to slip up a little bit. I mean, it looked like Mahomes spread the ball around a little bit more. Byron Pringle was brought in. McCole Hardman, had one catch, a great catch, by the way.
Perfect throw.
Absolutely. That's the only reason.
That catch, I mean, I don't want to take away from Hardman's catch because that catch, the over the shoulder catch, that's a tough catch to make.
No, and I'm not about to give McCole Hardman some praise and then catch some shit from Noah.
Noah. I was just saying, where's Noah?
Yeah. it would be my luck. I'd be like, man, McCole ran a perfect route. No. I mean, it was damn near a perfect catch. The only thing McCole Hardman had to do was get under it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Perfect throw from Mahomes. But it did seem like they were spreading the ball around more. I guess I didn't see, a lot of emphasis on Blake Bell, Travis Kelce, looking at the stats here that we talked about earlier. Hill had six receptions. Byron had 3. Blake Bell had 3. Actually, Byron and Blake Bell had 3 for 35 yards.
Yeah, both of them 11.7 average.
Yeah. So Robinson had 2 for 33.
I guess my issue is that I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more from our second wide receiver. Who's our second wide receiver? And it seems to be Byron Pringle. DeMarcus Robinson, he still doesn't impress me.
I guess it just depends on what time of the year it is. I mean, we've gone through these phases where it looks like, okay, I guess so-and-so is our second wide receiver. We bring Josh Gordon in. Everybody's like, oh, that's going to be our number 2 wide receiver, and then McCole Hardman has a good game. And it's like, okay, maybe McCole Hardman's finally ready to step up and become the number 2 wide receiver. And let's be honest. The number 2 wide receiver on this team is Travis Kelce. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we need Noah Gray to step up.
Yep. Yeah.
And Blake Bell, so we can run 2 and 3 tight end sets.
Yep.
Jeff Howell says, question for James, would you take AB tomorrow?
But if the question is, would you? Yes, absolutely.
I would.
Yeah,
I would take him. I'd take him tomorrow, but only for the remainder of the season. For a push towards the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if the question is, would you? Yes. If the question is, do you think? No. I don't think I like I said earlier, I don't see a team taking a chance. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, when the Raiders are ready to give up on you, there is slim pickings, my friend. Because the Raiders will take a chance on anybody. Ted Bundy could put on a football uniform, and the Raiders would sign that dude ASAP because everybody deserves a chance, right? That's what the Raiders say. And when you've screwed up an opportunity with the Raiders, there ain't much left after that.
Yeah,
the Buccaneers.
I mean, in a hypothetical world, if we're looking at the talent, and I say if he was available, and I would be like, yeah, I would take him.
If I'm playing Madden and I'm on franchise mode and I notice somebody cut Antonio Brown, I'm picking him up immediately.
Yeah, the talent's there.
Yeah.
The talent's there for a push.
Yeah.
He says he wouldn't.
Yeah. And I can understand that. It's completely understandable. But here we are, week 17 with one more game left and some playoffs. If the Buccaneers released him tonight, go get him. I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, it's a win-win situation. I mean, you get him for the remainder of the games, and at the end of the year, you don't have to sign him if you don't want to. So
pick Gibson. I'd never pick up AB. I mean, I like Chase was saying. I understand why.
Yeah.
I understand why, but if for that last stretch, business is business, and you pay him for a service.
Yep.
He's got talent still. So
that's right.
Yeah, we were talking about Travis Kelce. I feel as if the Bengals kind of prioritize Kelce. Kelce's yards after catch against the Chargers game was just off the charts. I don't know the exact numbers. And then, I look at the stats here. We're looking at the box score. Travis Kelce, five catches for 25 yards, averages 5 yards a catch. I really feel like, that was in the game plan for the Bengals is to minimize the yards after catch for Travis Kelce. You needed to have a guy within at least a couple yards of him at all times. Jake says he's had issues talking about Antonio Brown. Every team, we're good enough to win without him. I mean,
yeah.
If I had $100,000 and I went to go buy a Dodge Ram that was $80,000, and then somebody was like, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000," and I wouldn't be like, "Okay, well, I've got enough to pay for it myself." I would just take my luxury of riches and move on with my life.
Yeah.
So like if you can add that talent, my man James with the fresh cut. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Turning in my man Richmond. Hey, if you guys don't know, I do a show on Wednesday nights where I do the producing for the show called Gig 'em Guys with Miami Ties. My man Richmond Webb and his co-host Robert Wilson. Where is Robert tonight? I kind of have now expected him to be in here. He made it like 3-4 shows in a row. So I need to know where Robert's at. But they do this show. These guys are former players in the NFL. They both with the Texas A&M. It's the Aggies with Miami Ties, Miami Dolphins. They have great stories. They have great experiences from their time playing, and they have a show on Wednesdays at 8:00 at Starcade Media. So go check them out. Gig 'em Guys with Miami Ties.
Yeah, no, I saw Richmond put that in there, man, and I couldn't pass it up. We were talking before the show started. Traded in the blazer for a new cut, baby.
Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. I think it's just the green screen. I think it's the new studio and the fresh little hoodie and So offensive line. I thought the offensive line looked pretty decent. We are in a little bit of a predicament. We have a lot of injuries where Joe Tooney moved from left guard to left tackle. Orlando Brown. If you didn't catch it, Orlando Brown Jr. went down in pregame with a calf injury. Here, let me just go ahead and slap that one up there.
yeah, man. I came in with the fresh polo and got the comb over a little bit. I was scared.
You're trying to match that energy.
Yeah.
So Orlando Brown Jr. He has a calf injury in the pregame warmups. So we go to Lucas Nyang as a backup, and then he goes down, I believe, with a knee injury.
Yeah.
And so then we resort to, Kyle Long was not activated. And either was Prince Tanu Wanagu. I hope I said that right. I probably butchered the hell out of that, but those two guys are not. They weren't activated on the roster for the game, so they were not available. So we go to Lucas Nyang. He gets injured. Joe Thuney goes from left guard to left tackle, and then Nick Allegretti moves in at left guard. We've already got our right tackle missing. Mike Rimmers is on the IR. Lucas Nyang is kind of his backup. And then Andrew Wiley. That's who we got out there. So our offensive line is banged up. And you look at some of these like rushing stats. I thought they did pretty well.
Yeah, no, they're still gelling together as a unit. Hopefully, knock on wood. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that's me knocking on wood. That they get these injuries. They get these injuries out of the way now, because I don't want to see these injuries in late January. Let's get it out of the way now. Let's get the guys back on the field. Last year. Yeah. Yep. Last year. That's right. That team was poised to make it a pretty damn good game against Tampa Bay. And unfortunately we didn't see that because of all the injuries to the offensive line. Instead, we saw so many. What was the rushing stats for Mahomes in the Super Bowl last year? 500 and something yards. That he ran.
Before he even passed the line of scrimmage.
Yep. Which is unheard of. It's ridiculous. So but people don't understand that there was guys that were on the practice squad all year that were being called up to start that game. So let's get it out of the way now. Let's get these guys healed up. I want to see these guys in January because that's when we need them.
Yeah, so. and if you think about this, okay, so we've got Joe Thuney that's moved over to left tackle. We're 3 left tackles deep. We're on our backup left guard. We're on our backup right tackle. Darrell Williams comes in. He has 14 carries for 88 yards, 6.3 average. Derek Gore has 3 carries, 37 yards, 12.3 average. Michael Burton even got in there, but it ain't like they weren't running the ball well. Patrick Mahomes was protected for most of the day. We are deep in our offensive line. And
0 sacks.
There we go.
So and Cincinnati's defense is not, it's nothing to write home about, but it's definitely not, it's not a pushover. So they've got some playmakers on that line, and 0 sacks given the injuries. These guys are still gelling together, man, and it's
and that's credit to Brett Veach because this was an issue last year. We did see this last year, and we seen it. We got exposed in the Super Bowl because of our lack of depth. Well, now we have it, and we're seeing it, and we're seeing it pay off right now. And hopefully, some of these guys come in and come back. Hopefully we can get our left tackle back. We can, get maybe 2 of them out of the 3 that are out. But if it doesn't happen, these guys still stepped up and did a pretty damn good job.
Absolutely.
With that said, I know that they ran it pretty effectively. I thought that they almost ran it too much. And I know that you don't necessarily agree with me, but I'll say this: the identity of this team is Patrick Mahomes' arm, and it's passing the ball. And I've always kind of thought that it should be like a 2-to-1 ratio. We should be passing the ball twice as much as we run it. That's just kind of the identity of this team. What's your take, bud?
There's Rob, Mr. Clean. I love it, man. So you know, running the ball too much. You know, there's a couple things that you got to look at with this team that gets you really excited about Chiefs football this year. Number one, the adaptability. So the defense has done more than a phenomenal job of adapting to where they're good at. Accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. The defense has done a complete turnaround. You know, and probably get this out of the way because I don't know where we're at in the lineup, but I do plan on trashing them a little bit later. But for the most part, you know, all year this defense has done a phenomenal job of adapting and doing a great turnaround. The offense, the same situation. Patrick Mahomes couldn't get, you know, back into that Patrick Mahomes, you know, the Patrick Mahomes that we're used to. You know, we've exaggerated this. You know, we have literally milked this cow as much as we can, talking about how Mahomes just doesn't look like Mahomes of 2019 and last year. But they adapted and they did a great job of moving on from that. Exactly. Jeff literally took the words out of my mouth. You've got Derek Gore, who's 3 carries and 37 yards. That's 12.3 yards per carry. And you're not giving him the ball more. You're going 3 and out, and you're letting Cincinnati's offense get back on the field to send another bomb to Jamar Chase and getting burnt. Keep Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase off the field. You're 2 scores ahead. You scored 3 points in the second half. And you've got Darrell Williams running 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you've got Derek Gore. Why was Derek Gore not giving the ball more? Why weren't they running the ball more? This needs to be a situation where, you know,
Derek Gore needs to have a bigger role on this team.
And I think Darrell Williams does too. I think the running games needs to have a bigger role on this team because, you know, I agree with you. I mean, 2 months ago, we are 1,000% in agreement on, you know, this being a, you know, 2-to-1 ratio or a 3-to-2 ratio, whatever. Mahomes needs to, and Rob says Mahomes needs to get back to touchdown. Mahomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, but until that happens, you know, you can't give up a 2-score lead, you know, to a team like that. That game should have been over. We should have played the run game. We should have ran it more, kept Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase off the damn field, and let the offense milk that clock.
Well, I know, you know, when we look at the first half, you know, we talked about it earlier, but Patrick Mahomes had 259 yards, 2 TDs. That was all in the first half.
Yeah,
and he was slinging the ball. Why? I understand we're up 2 touchdowns, or not 2 touchdowns, but 2 possessions, and you know we have the lead, and their offense is explosive. But where's that killer instinct? You know, let's go put up 3 more touchdowns, and you know, fuck them. You know,
you know, and I agree, but it wasn't there. So, you know, so it's not working. They're playing lights out defense, making the Chiefs go 3 and out. The Chiefs need to adapt. They need to do what they've done all year long, and they need to adapt to the game plan. And the game plan should have been run the ball, milk the clock, keep Jamar Chase off the field. If you're not going to double cover him, then they got to put him out.
Yep.
And Rob, you know, if you bring up that comment from Rob says they need to put Kelsey at the X. When Kelsey's at the X, Kelsey hits the middle of the field, and I feel like every damn time Kelsey hits the middle of the field deep, he's open. And I thought the same thing. I wondered why were they not running Kelsey that way? But like I said, after 2 or 3 possessions, and you're going 3 and out, and you're letting Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get back on the field, you got to do something different. You got to adapt to the game plan.
I don't understand why they're not either, because when Travis Kelce was out, Blake Bell and Noah Gray showed that they could do an adequate job of filling his shoes.
Yeah.
So just move him over. Let him be our number 2. And have these other tight ends take over the tight end position.
Yeah,
and they can be adequate replacements, and maybe not for a full season, but if you switch, 75-25, ratio, 75% of the time he's at an X or at the X receiver slot, and then 25% he's going back and doing his tight end duties. I don't understand why we're not doing it. And that comes back to Andy Reid kind of being stubborn. And, we of course we praised Andy Reid because he is an amazing coach and he does his thing the way he does it. And he's not going to stray from it, but he's stubborn.
Yeah. And it's what works for them. And like I said, we praised them about, or I just got done praising them about being adaptable. The being, having to be adaptable in the middle of the game is something that I would have liked to have seen in the second half, and it just didn't happen. And that's exactly what it was. Is exactly what Daniel just said. He got comfortable. The rest of the team got comfortable with that lead, and they put too much pressure on that defense to keep blocking, Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, that's an elite talent. And that's a whole nother thing that we will talk about. We're actually going to go ahead and head to break. When we come back from break, we will talk about the defense. We will talk about Jamar Chase and the problems that the defense had with Jamar Chase. We will also talk about the referees and the impact that they had. And then also we will kind of take a quick look at the playoff picture. Do me a quick favor, everyone. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit that share button. Let's get the rest of Chiefs Kingdom in here. And I will see you guys as soon as we get back from break. What's going on, guys? Jaymes Howell here. Look, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure that you smash that notification bell. That way you'll never miss any content from Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Also, while you're at it, go to Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk on Facebook as well as on Twitter. You can find the links for those in the description. Until next time, once again, stay legendary, guys.
Hey everyone, Chase Riley here, the co-host of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. I wanted to take a moment to share with you guys that when I'm not on this legendary podcast, I'm out trying to help build our brand and the legendary community that James and I speak so much about. And by doing so, I started Chase Riley Sports. So it would really mean a lot to me if you haven't already to go like and share my page and make sure you adjust the notifications accordingly so you never miss anything I post. It's extremely simple. It's just C Riley Sports on all social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like I said, guys, it would mean a lot to me to have you guys join us on this journey. And until next time, stay legendary, my friends.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We're coming back from break. Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. My name is Jaymes Howell. Sitting next to me is supposed to be sitting next to me. He'll be here shortly. Chase Riley, my legendary co-host that way. Look, real quick, I just want to say, guys, look, real quick, before we continue with the show, when I started this at the beginning of the season, when I first began this preseason week 1, being in this spot right here in front of this camera, talking to you guys, was one of the most uncomfortable things that I had ever done. And you guys are so awesome and so legendary. And you guys have helped me build this community. We started off at like 1 or 2 people, and that was like my closest friends. We're sitting here at 11 people right now. Being here in this spot now in front of this camera here with you guys is one of my favorite spots to be at. It used to be extremely uncomfortable just being in front of the camera. I love it. I love it so much. Richmond Webb, you have to adapt. Great point, Chase. And that's true. And we're going to talk about adaptation when we get to the defensive side of things. Look, if you guys didn't see it on my page, looks like there he is. If you guys didn't see it on my page, I did make this video about the referees and the officiating within this last game between the Chiefs and the Bengals. And like I said in the video, I'll never blame a game on the referees. But the officiating in this game was ridiculous. They couldn't do anything. And was that the reason why they lost? No. Allowing 266 yards to Jamar Chase is a reason why they lost. Only scoring 3 points in the second half. That's a reason why they lost. The refs, maybe they contributed to it, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs were up by 2 scores and had the opportunity to blow this game away. And they didn't capitalize on that opportunity. So, as much as we like to blame the zebras, that's not why we lost, guys. Wasn't that? Yeah. But that's not it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the calls, calls were a little questionable, really questionable. But the referees.
That call was questionable.
Which one?
That call you just made was questionable about those calls being questionable, because those calls were very, very questionable.
Yeah, I mean, and it sucks. I mean, it's crazy because, when you put the game like that, and not just this game, but there's other games, the game should never ever come down to one penalty. It shouldn't be, one call. That one call costs us the game. Do your job and execute, and don't let those things happen. Granted, there was questionable calls, but the constant penalties from Fenton, and there were some penalties on there was a penalty on Snead, but the constant penalties on Fenton, it
was only coming from that side of the field.
Yeah,
from that one line judge.
But these are supposed to be the elite defensive backs. I mean, a month and a half ago, Fenton was rated number 1 by PFF, and I get it, but they know better, especially after the first time. Like that's on Fenton. Fenton was clapping, and I get Fenton's energy on that, but man, you're a professional. Like it's time for you to go back. When you go back to the sideline, you need to get together with your defensive coordinator or your defensive backs coach and say, hey, like what can we do so this doesn't happen?
Yeah,
because you're putting.
Well, it was a lack of adjustment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is instead of finger pointing, let's try and figure out what's next to.
Yeah.
Rob is killing me, man. Like my.
Look, I'll tell you what it is, Rob. I seen your comment earlier about the safeties not being good. Where'd that go? Safeties are a problem. There it is. I'll tell you what that is. That is a bad game plan. That is a bad game plan from Steve Spagnuolo, because he continuously would drop Tyrann Mathieu into the box and leave Daniel Sorensen back there to cover that side of the field. And Daniel Sorensen is not a good safety. He's an adequate, fill-in, but he's not a good safety. And so that is a lack of respect for Jamar Chase and both the rookies. Well, Joe Burrow, I say he's a rookie. He had the injury his senior or his freshman year, his rookie year. But this is his first year, and it was a lack of respect for those two guys by sticking Daniel Sorensen out there, and they made him pay for it.
Yeah.
If it's Tyrann Mathieu back there and not Daniel Sorensen needs to stay in the box. I don't. I mean, it was just like we just reverted to early season.
So let me ask you this, because I saw this comment come up a lot. In a lot of the Chiefs fan groups, I saw a few people bring this up. 3rd and 27, and you call an all-out blitz. Do we, yay or nay, or?
Well, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why they do that. Because the Bengals are sitting in field goal range at the moment, and they want to get them out of field goal range. Yep. And I understand that you're leaving it one-on-one, Jamar Chase out there on the outside, and it didn't work. But if it does work, if that all-out blitz does connect, he's being praised for the call. You knocked him out of field goal range. Now, no points are scored. They have to punt it, yada, yada, yada. Do I like the call? Yeah, I think that was Steve Spagnuolo kind of still being aggressive. I think, okay, so to go back to the referees, they changed the way that this defense was able to play. Like, you couldn't even keep a hand on the guy's back and turn for the ball, or else you were getting flagged for it. So at that point, with one-on-one coverage, these guys, they just threw to Jamar Chase, and it was either it was going to be a flag or he was going to out-jump the guy. And unfortunately, those refs led the Bengals right down the field on that last drive. They couldn't do anything. I mean, they changed the way that the cornerbacks and the secondary played fundamentally. They couldn't play the same way they were used to.
Yeah.
And see, for a referee to have that much impact on a game is unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Rob just asked Chris Jones, where was he? And I will say that Chris Jones made a massive presence in the first half. That second half,
the whole defensive line was pretty good, which was, why a lot of people were like, why are you sending the house?
Yeah. When
our defensive line is doing a pretty decent job. You probably didn't need to.
No. But I agree with what you're saying. I think that because they've got a good kicker in Cincinnati. He was right there in field goal range. You send an all-out blitz. You either A, guarantee that you cause an incompletion, or B, you're looking at a sack.
Yeah.
This
is, you also have to remember, this is a rookie quarterback, or I keep saying rookie, but a first-year quarterback is what I'll call him. So he's a young quarterback, and we're trying to get in his face and be disruptive. And if in the coach's mind, worst comes to worst, maybe it's a check down because we get to him so quickly. He just checks it down on a 3rd and 26, and we stop him before the sticks, and they kick a field goal. Best case scenario, we get the sack, we take him out of field goal range. I love the call.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love the call, but I didn't mind the call, and I don't think that call's I don't think the call was what sealed the fate. I think what sealed the fate was you know, I know the referees, and we can we can talk about the referees and their bad calls. And you're right, the defensive backs had to fundamentally change the way they played. But Snead and Fenton, there was that last play that put them that they gave them the first down. Was it the fourth down play? I think it was the fourth down play. They went for it on fourth down, and the play was as good as done. And
then it was an illegal use of the hands to the face.
Yep.
And that has nothing to do with PI. It has nothing to do with holding. The issues that we've been, that we all remember were controversial calls.
Yep.
That's illegal hands to the face. That kind of cost us the game. And that penalty was legit.
Yep. That's a fourth down play. There's no guarantee that the Chiefs would have gone down the field and scored. But we could have taken it to overtime and let it decide that way. Obviously, you could talk about, well, would it have made a huge difference? Would it have made a huge difference with the way Chase and Burrow were playing? Maybe not. Who knows? But you at least would have given Patrick Mahomes another chance to go. That illegal use of hands to the face was a killer. Obviously I'm not gonna contradict myself and go back and talk about that being the game cost, because like I said, not scoring more than 3 points in the second half is what cost us the game.
But that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, in the words of the great late John Madden. You win the game by scoring more points than the other team.
That's right.
That's how
right.
you do it. And scoring 3 points in 2 quarters of football is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Like I said, that call was a momentum killer. It sealed the deal. And it's uncalled for. And this defense to adapt and make the turnaround that they've made, and then to come into this game and show lack of discipline, lack of execution.
It was eerily like early season. It was like we just had reverted back to week 4 for a game. Yep. And I already kind of mentioned it. I thought it was a terrible game plan by Steve Spagnuolo. He repeatedly had man-to-man coverage there on the outside, and those guys needed help. That was a clear mismatch. Ward on Jamar Chase was a clear mismatch. He needed help.
Yep.
And he wasn't getting it, and we were too worried about maybe trying to get the young quarterback off his spot. And Joe Burrow made him pay.
Yep.
And credit to Joe Burrow, because I kind of said something about it a couple weeks ago. All this kid has ever done is won.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, all he's ever done is won, and that's all he really knows how to do. And he went out there and he made some great throws, some great plays, and he opened up that can,
Yeah, and they made a joke, or I think, I don't know if Joe made the joke, or I was seeing online that they said the game plan was like the old Chiefs meme is F it, Jamar's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And you talk about Joe Burrow being a winner. I saw shortly after that game, a lot of people were talking about, because our friends over at Starcade Media did a pregame show on Sunday, and man, it was the disrespect that they talked about on that pregame show about how every single NFL analyst, from ESPN to Fox to all the major stations, were just automatically picking the Cincinnati Bengals to win. And obviously a lot of them saw what we didn't see. And it was interesting because after the game, I saw that Joe Burrow, Jamar all these guys that were at LSU that came from LSU, and it was like, yo, is this the scariest college team that ever walked?
Right.
And there was names on that list, and they brought up a good case for it, but Rob asks, which AFC bubble team is the scariest?
Let's get back to that one. He also asked, can the Chiefs get home field advantage? We'll get back to those. But we see you, Rob. We'll come back to him. All right, bud. Tyrann Mathieu says there's no excuses for even after the penalties. They didn't play well. Is this him? Is this coach speak, or him trying to be a leader, or does he really believe that they played like shit?
You could see the frustration on Tyrann's face. Tyrann Mathieu has never ever done a good job at hiding his emotions when he is frustrated in the middle of a game.
No, he's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah, he's very passionate. He will let you know when he is frustrated. I don't think it was coach talk at all. I think, like I said, you look at the way they played. I think Tyrann is very, very well agreed what it's going to look like to get better for that defense.
Yeah. So okay, Tyrann Mathieu, do you think he gets? Are we going to extend him? I mean, we have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just seems like he's just such a core part of this defense that you think it gets done this season.
Yeah, it does. What that looks like or what that means for the rest of the team, I'm not sure. But because I could be wrong. It's been a while since I looked at the contract situation. But I think there's a couple other guys on there that may not be on this team in the next season or two because Matthew's going to get it. Well, yeah, no, I was talking about some key guys that we've been used to seeing in this core that we have. I think you might see them.
I could definitely see a restructure of Frank Clark.
Yep.
Restructure of Frank Clark, franchise tag to Orlando Brown Jr. Maybe this injury, this mysterious injury that he had, if he's out for an extended amount of time, this could play to their advantage as far as getting a cheaper contract.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's as far as that conversation goes, is a cheaper contract. Because let's not pretend that Orlando Brown is not going to be a Chief for a while. That's out of the question.
Yeah, it's either going to be a little bit cheaper contract, or if they can't come to terms, they're going to slap the franchise tag on him.
Yeah, he's here for a while. We didn't give up what we gave up to get him to lose him after 2 seasons. That's just not going to happen. Brett Veach wouldn't be general manager if that happened. So
right,
yeah.
All right, so all right, let's talk about the playoffs. Everyone wants to talk about the playoffs. Let's talk about
I see that, yeah.
Okay, so Rob says earlier, can the Chiefs, I can't find the comment, but he says, can the Chiefs still get the number 1 seed or get the home field advantage? There it is, yep. And the answer is yes. Yes, they can. Is it likely? I think what I seen earlier was about a 25% chance. What has to happen is the Tennessee Titans have to lose to the Houston Texans, and the Chiefs either have to win or tie. If they win or tie and Tennessee loses, they can get that number 1 seed. As far as your question here, which AFC bubble team is the scariest? I would have to look. Jeff said New England. New England is pretty scary. I think Mac Jones is the real deal. I've been pretty high on the Colts. The Chargers could be, if the Chargers make it in, the Raiders make it in. Those are both divisional games. I don't want to play them for the third time this year. But
I don't want to play. I don't want to play the Chargers for the third time. The Raiders. I mean, if we could play the Raiders every week, I'd be okay with that.
I'm telling you, bro, we hang up 40 points every time we play the Raiders.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Colts versus the Jaguars this week. So Jaguars are probably going to win. But if they don't, for some reason, okay, so there's this odd situation that Donnie, my buddy Donnie, he says Raiders and the Chargers if the Colts lose. There's this funny little situation that he sent me this story about a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday or something like that. And
I know where you're going with this, man. I've seen it all over social media. It's absolutely wild. So
yeah. So if the Colts do lose, and they do manage to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, then the Chargers and the Raiders, all they have to do is either tie or win. So they could, if the Colts lose, they could knee the ball every single play for the entirety of the game, tie the game 0-0, and they would both make it. The Chargers and the Raiders would both make it into the playoffs. Nuts. Yeah. Talk about a historical game, a historical game of football.
Yeah, no, that, and the another thing I read said that the Raiders and the Chargers could just kneel the ball for all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And
kneel, punt. Kneel, punt.
Yeah. Don't think that'll happen.
What would be interesting
very interesting.
What would be interesting, okay, so, say there's a kneel, punt, and then that punt ends up at like the 2-yard line, right? Okay, so you can't kneel it at that point, right? Okay, so what happens if there's a safety or something like that? If they're trying to play like that, that's when things start getting crazy. Oh, you scored points? All right. So yeah, that was just a funny situation. Wouldn't put it past them. Donnie says, I thought that was just a funny situation that I've never came across before. They could tie the game, they could kneel it down, 0-0 all the way through and get into the playoffs if the Colts were to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they don't lose, this is a very important matchup, Chargers versus the Raiders, coming up this last week of the season. And I believe it got flexed to a primetime slot. So if the Chargers win, it's whoever wins between the if the Colts win, it's whoever wins between the Chargers and the Raiders. You win, you're in.
Yep.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Who would you want to see if the playoffs were to end today, right? If the playoffs are to end today, it's the Chargers, the Colts, the Patriots, the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, and the Titans. Who do you want to see? Go ahead, chat. Tell me who you want to see too. Let me know in the comment thread.
I would have to say I don't want to say the Chargers because I don't want to play the Chargers a third time.
But let me add the Raiders in there since there's a possibility they might. Let me add the Raiders.
Yeah, if the Raiders are in there, the Raiders all day. At Arrowhead, absolutely. I can't even believe that we're talking about the Raiders being in. I saw that they won some games after we demolished them. That team is just hot garbage, and I just can't fathom that they're actually in a playoff position. But if it's not the Raiders, then I would have to say the Colts, because the Colts are the 2006 Kansas City Chiefs. They're one-dimensional. Larry Johnson carried the Kansas City Chiefs that year to the playoffs. Chiefs shouldn't have even been in the playoffs that year. It was one of those weird situations, and that's what the Colts remind me of. The Colts remind me of the 2006 Kansas City Chiefs. It's one dimensional. It's Jonathan Taylor all day long. And I'd rather see the Chiefs play them than go play the Chargers again.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in concurrence. So if it was to end today, if the playoffs ended today, we play the Chargers, okay? Or if the season was in today, playoffs started tomorrow, we play the Chargers. I've kind of been a little high on the Colts throughout the season, and I've been extremely high on the Bengals throughout the season. I told you the Bengals were good, bro. I told you they were good.
I don't want to talk about it, man. I gotta sell the house, man, because I bet the house that we were gonna run the table, man, and we just didn't.
I knew everyone kind of looked over this Bengals game, and
now I gotta build a box for me and my wife and 3 kids to live in.
Bet the farm on it.
I did, man.
So, if anybody, I would want to probably see the Colts. I mean, if the Raiders make it in, I definitely want to see the Raiders at home so we can just I want to see if they want to try to do that little Arrowhead stomp bullshit again. I bet they don't. I bet you don't.
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely don't.
Yeah, Donnie said this was the toughest. He was in agreement with me about the Bengals. How about the Monday night playoff game? What? They have a Monday night playoff game this year?
I didn't see that. That's
everyone get on your Googlers.
The Google machine, the book of face.
I have not seen that, and apparently it is a thing. Wild card weekend, Monday Night Football for the next year or 5 years.
Really? For 5 years?
Yeah, for the next 5 years. That is kind of cool. That is, I kind of like it. Monday Night Football has always been a staple of football. Like it's Monday night.
So I've actually had this conversation with a group of my friends, and we were talking about it. I love all football. I watch the pros, I watch college, and I don't just watch main college games like, Bama and Georgia. I'll watch Florida Atlantic and Missouri State.
You go watch all the high school games.
That's right. I love me some football, man. So, in these next year, I think they're doing the UFL and the XFL. I'll be watching that. Anytime there's football on, anytime there's anything involved in that pigskin, man, that pigskin is that's it. That's life. So last week when there was football on every single day of the week, I mean, do
you have to get a new pair of pants?
Oh my God, dude, my fat ass didn't move from the couch. I had a great little setup going. I had the double screen on one TV, a double screen on another TV, and my
for a playoff game.
Yeah, and my wife asked me. She said how can you watch all those games? You can't pay attention. I said don't worry about what I can do. I can multitask.
Yeah. Hey, and they say men can't multitask. You prove them wrong every single day, every week. All right. So, and then, of course, we talked about it earlier. Tennessee and Houston matchup this weekend. If Tennessee loses and Kansas City wins, or Kansas City tie or win, Kansas City can get the number 1 seed back from Tennessee. I don't see that happening. And then also, I don't know if you heard, but Derrick Henry is back in practice. He's supposed to be back in practice tomorrow. Tennessee
Yeah.
is going to be a tough team. If he could come back and get into form, and I don't know if they're rushing him back and how ready he really is or anything like that, but if they can get him back and if he's 80% of the Derrick Henry he was, that's going to be a tough team. They've held tight in his absence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And it's crazy. I don't want to jinx anything. Knock on wood for me. Again, but I feel like every time we play Derrick Henry, we were able to contain Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Like a French war.
And he's the best in the league at that position. Maybe not this year because of the injury.
I hear that.
Yeah, if they rush him, they'll ruin him. And he runs like a brick house. He's like I said, he's a phenomenal talent. He's definitely not somebody to overlook. But so I'm not, don't take this the wrong way, but I just every single time we play him, the Chiefs are able to hold him, and he's not a humongous factor.
Surprisingly, this is contrary to their early season, but this run defense is pretty good. The pass defense didn't look worth a snot on Sunday, but the run defense, if you go look at the run defense, Joe Mixon here, 12 carries, 46 yards, 38 or 3.8 yards a carry. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Joe Mixon is not a pushover. I mean, he's one of the top backs in the league. So yes, I agree that run defense has turned on quite well in the past couple months, along with the overall defense, and they held their own on Sunday, unlike the pass defense.
Yep. So, all right, man. I just got one last thing before we jump off here. If you didn't catch it earlier in the show, we are doing a giveaway. You have to go find this post right here. You'll find it on Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Make sure that you like it, you share it, and you comment who you think is going to win this game against the Broncos, and you're entered into the drawing. We will do the drawing next week, next Tuesday, as we're talking about the Broncos game, the last show of the regular season. We will do the drawing. This is what we're trying to win. You can't see it because my green screen's on. Let me turn my green screen off. Hold on. Give me just a second, guys.
I was gonna say, I was like, man, I don't remember the picture looking like that. That's weird.
Hold on, just a second. All right. Look, can you see it now, Chase?
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we're trying to win here. It's an 8x10 of L'Jarius Sneed. It's got a certificate of authenticity in the back of it here. Perfect condition. Absolutely perfect condition. Super, super easy to get. Let me turn this back on here. To get into this contest. It's super, super easy. Like, share, comment. Go comment your prediction for the Chiefs versus the Broncos in the original comment thread. If you don't get it in the original comment thread, I won't see it. I won't get you on the list. You won't get an entry. If you're a top fan, every single one of my top fans, I know who you are, whether Facebook designated you as top fan or not. The Daniels, the Jonathans, the Donnies, the Davids, the Connies, the Jerrys. I know who you guys are. Each one of you guys get 2 entries for participating, and I'm going to give you 2 entries for each week that you gave me a prediction. So if you gave me a prediction last week, you give me another one this week, you'll have a total of 4 entries into this contest. Super, super simple, guys. We're giving it away. I'm also working on, I just started talks with another guy about possible donations. Maybe we can get some more of these bad boys in here. Something pretty simple. so we can start giving more stuff away. I know a Jody Fortson 8x10 or a Jody Fortson signing is coming up. Who doesn't want a Jody Fortson 8x10? Maybe something like that could happen. I've seen Daniel Sorensen. I've seen Chris Jones come through. I've seen, there's all kinds of opportunities, but you have to be following Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk, or else you don't know. You don't know when it's coming. So make sure that you hit that like button. If you hit that like button, it automatically follows. So that's all you have to do. Hit that like button, share it, get the rest of the Chiefs Kingdom in here. Let me look at these comments thread here. Can Kansas City drop to 3? If they lose, let me look. If they lose,
Yeah, I think they can.
Yeah. If they lose and Cincinnati, I don't understand why Cincinnati's not in 3 right now with an 11-5 when we're 10-6. I mean, why we're not in 3 right now? We're 10-6, they're 11-5, and they just beat us.
That's a good question.
I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. We're 11-5, and they're 10-6. I was like, that don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah,
So yeah, if we lose, they win. They got the tiebreaker. They beat us.
Yeah. No. So I mean, the Chiefs need to play this game, and I would like to say that I'm going to confidently take the Chiefs, and I'm going to confidently say that the Chiefs are going to rout the Broncos. My score prediction, and I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget it, is going to be 43-17.
Woo! Offense gets back on track.
Yep. Yeah. 43-17 Chiefs. They're going to need a strong showing from Mahomes and the offense to head into the playoffs. And I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to come out and they're just going to.
This is almost going to be like the beginning of a season, like in college. When you play some like slack Division II team, just go kick the shit out of them to get that confidence. That's what we're going to try to accomplish. I could see that.
Yeah. Is Drew Lock going to be their guy on Sunday? I think he is, isn't he?
Not a clue. I haven't even looked into it, to be quite honest with you.
I think I saw something last week that said that Teddy was injured. Let's hit the Google machine again, gentlemen.
Hit the Googler. My prediction while you're doing that, I think we're gonna almost shut them out. I say we hold them to 7 and we score 31-7 Kansas City.
31-7 Kansas City. I like it.
Okay, so if maybe there's a more favorable playoff matchup being in the 3rd seed compared to being in the 2nd seed, we might see some tomfoolery happen. They might position themselves. They might play this game to position themselves in the playoffs to get an opponent that they want. Daniel Hibden says 31-14 Kansas City wins.
I can see it.
I like it.
I can see it.
All right, my man.
Actually, Drew Lock is limited participation in practice, so I don't think he's going to be playing.
Right.
So,
all right, guys. What? Anything else for you, bub?
No, that's the only thing I was going to say is, if you notice the green and blue logo at the bottom, that is our SuperDraft. I know we talked about SuperDraft at the beginning. We want to talk about SuperDraft again. This is an important sponsorship. They came to us. They gave us this opportunity. This is going to help, Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk kind of open and expand our horizons, which is what we want to do in 2022. So it's, super fun. I've been playing it myself. I got the $20 a month membership. I got in on an NBA game tonight, or an NBA lineup tonight. I did the Monday Night Football lineup yesterday. So the higher the tier of the membership, the more games you get to play. So it's kind of, you pay your membership a month. They give you a certain amount of games. It's like DraftKings. You jump in, and you play those games. So it's super easy. It's super fun.
And you know what I think is really cool about it is the subscription side of things, because I can go to FanDuel's or DraftKings and spend $20 in one game and be done, and that game lasts 3 hours. Or I can get the subscription for $20 and I have games to play all month long. And yes, you can win money, but it's not for the gamblers. If you want to go spend $500 in a weekend, this is not really your thing. But for the casual fantasy football player, fantasy baseball, anybody that likes those games, this is a great game to get into.
Yeah, and you'll see in the future, we can actually create our own contests. So, our guys that come every week, that support us every week, David Lindsay, Daniel Hibden, all those guys, I know I'm forgetting somebody, Donnie, we all can get in on a contest with ourselves, together. We're already in a fantasy league together, So, we can do these contests together. They're super fun. Like I said, Jaymes has his link. If you're interested, go check it out. Watch the videos, see what it's about. If you're interested, sign up. If you're not interested, like I said, this is something that's going to help Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk expand in 2022. So if you're not interested in joining, share the link. And you share the link, just like you share the Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk link. Let's share the SuperDraft Pro link. Let's get these subscriptions up, so we can continue to grow and continue to build this legendary community.
That's right. One last thing before we sign off, I just wanted to give everyone notice that Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk is not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to do a little bit of a rebranding process. We're probably going to go to Jaymes Howell's Media or Sports and Media. And Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk will be a show offered by Jaymes Howell Sports and Media. So the page that we all follow right now, Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk, will soon be renamed Jaymes Howell Sports and Media. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that little rebranding issue or process that we're going through there. And that just allows us to add more shows like Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Maybe we just do another sports show, or, Chase Riley, me and him have talked about combat sports and doing a show about that. Or, it just opens up a world of opportunity for us. So just be on the lookout for that. It's going to be, more than likely, it's going to be Jaymes Howell Sports and Media. And then Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk will be a show offered on that page. If you ain't got nothing else to say, I ain't got nothing else to say, my friend.
I'm tapped out, my friend.
All right, guys.
It's 2 hours. If for everybody that's still in here, all of you guys, we appreciate you guys, man. Steady. It's been steady at like 8-9 viewers for 2 hours. Yeah. And look, guys, for my fans, my top fans here, look, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we got up to like 18, 19 people in here tonight. I mean, like almost double what we normally do. This show is taking off. And it's you guys. We owe you guys such a freaking huge thank you. I wish I could come through and kiss every single one of you guys in the mouth. Not really, but I might give you a hug. But no, we owe you guys a huge thank you. You guys are awesome. And with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. My name is Jaymes Howell. To my right, that way, my legendary co-host, Chase Riley. And until next time, stay legendary, guys. I missed the outro.
Bye.